Hey, here we go. Part 2.
Part 2. So we ended abruptly a little bit on part 1, but that's okay.
No, that's great.
And we may end up abruptly again in part 2.
We may go to part 3.
Well, you never know.
Yet to be seen.
It could be crazy. So
Jonah's been chucked overboard.
Yep.
By the sailors.
Yep.
And into the raging sea. Raging sea becomes less raging, becomes calm.
Comes calm.
And the Lord.
Yep.
Enter our God here. Now the Lord has arranged for a great fish to swallow Jonah. And Jonah was inside the fish for 3 days and 3 nights.
Yeah. And I would say probably my first instinct was to envision a whale.
Okay.
Right? Because, you just think big fish that can eat a person, you think of a whale. But you never know.
That whale? What's that whale that I think, isn't there a whale that is a fish? We call it a whale, but it's a fish? Or is it a whale?
Or is it a dolphin?
You did that to me on purpose.
I did it on purpose. Oh, that's terrible. Anyway, so I think at first I thought of a whale, but we don't really know what it was. It could be a giant catfish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
It could be a giant anything. It could be a giant any kind of fish, right? I'm trying to envision right now if the sailors saw Jonah getting eaten by the big fish.
No, I think this is all.
This is he's drowning. He's so far into the ocean now that they wouldn't be able to see what happens. The sailors wouldn't see this, right?
Yeah, and I think there's once again back to the layers. There's so many layers, and I really don't get hung up on was it a whale, was it a fish, was it a all we know is Jonah thinks he gets swallowed up by this. God can do anything God wants to do. This could be a one-time fish, man. Could be. It's a one-time fish.
Well, I know that's kind of where my brain went too. It could be a purple and pink fish.
Yeah, for sure.
He wants. That's what I was like, but I'm just.
It's a godfish.
I know. It's my brain was like whale, but it's not necessarily a whale.
Yeah,
it could be just a fish. Oh, just big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giant crappie.
So this giant crappie eats Jonah, and he's in there for 3 days and 3 nights.
He swallows him.
Well, I mean, eats
whole.
Swallow.
Well,
I mean, it's.
I macerate my food.
Yeah, there are those hot dog eating contests where you just the only way for them to win is they don't actually eat them; they just kind of inhale.
Yeah, but you got to chew a hot dog.
I mean, I don't understand these contests. Okay, because first of all,
eat
they're not
more hot dogs and win.
It's not a hot dog eating contest. It's a hot dog inhaling contest. That's completely different. They're actually not eating the hot dog. They're just go right down. I feel like there ought to be a rule that you have to eat a hot dog in so many bites.
Ooh, you know what would be good?
Mm-hmm.
How about a hot dog eating contest where you can't consume more than one hot dog in, I don't know, say 3 minutes, right? You get a little sand timer, right? So you have to eat the hot dog in the 3 minutes. It's
but then your stomach's like, whoa, I'm full after 3 or 4, right? But you're still trying to eat that. And if you don't eat the full hot dog in 3 minutes, you're out.
Yeah, so you have to eat it in the. It's like the pacer test the kids. It's like the opposite of physical fitness, right? It's like the pacer test that the kids do.
Yeah.
You have to run the length of the gym or whatever before the timer beeps again.
Yeah.
And at first it seems pretty easy.
Yeah.
And then the farther they go on, it's harder. The beeper speeds up, and you get more fatigued, and it all escalates into a finishing point where
maybe that's what you do. Maybe do 1 minute for the first hot dog, 50 seconds, 40 seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10, right? And then you just keep going at 10 until one person's left.
I like this,
dude. This is an amazing idea. We should cut this out and then do this.
We should,
or this could be our gift to the world.
It could be. Found right here in this. Yeah, you're right. You wouldn't want one of our listeners to steal this idea and capitalize.
That's what I'm saying.
I would.
Hey,
if you're one of our listeners and you want to put up
change the rules of a hot dog eating contest.
Yeah, if you want to challenge the Nathan's hot dog eating, is it Nathan?
Yeah, I think
Coney Island.
Yeah,
whatever
Nathan's. Yeah,
whatever yeah. If you want to make a competitor,
get Joey Chestnut. Is that his name?
You get Joey Chestnut involved,
dude. I just want a shout out. I just want to be like, I just want to, like when you get like some award or something, I just want you to be like, I just want to thank the Layman's Term podcast. You don't even have to say for this idea. You just have to say, I just want to thank the podcast.
Yes, please do. So
and we have to be a sponsor.
This always.
Yes.
All right. So this fish goes all Joey Chestnut on Jonah. All right.
Just inhales him.
And so Jonah's inside and 3 days, 3 nights. But then, so it's been a minute. Okay.
Now, do you think? I know where you're going to go with this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. So, do you think he was in there for 3 days and 3 nights before this point, or do you think like this next, chapter is like throughout those 3 days and 3 nights?
Oh, you mean like swallowed up by a whale and then Jonah prays?
Yeah. So he gets swallowed by the whale. It says was in there for 3 days, 3 nights, and then now we're at a part where Jonah's basically gonna pray to God. Like, sorry, bro.
Was that immediate, or was he a little reluctant?
Was he? Was he a little reluctant?
Hot take.
And then like
hot take.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I'm gonna go with it as recorded.
Okay. As written.
As the story's written. I'm gonna say he was in the belly of the fish, for a minute. All right, as the kids would say.
Okay.
Which is more than a minute. It's a while.
It's a while.
We're going for these
hot minute.
3 days, right? So he's in there. That's where he is, because he's running from the Lord, right?
Yeah.
He's like, he could have said early on, hey, turn the ship around. I'm going to Nineveh. Just kidding, God. I didn't really want to go to Tarshish. Take me back to shore. He could have said that, and maybe the sea would have calmed. He could have told the guys, hey, I just need to go to Nineveh. And they'd be like, hey, well, we'll sail you there. And that could have stopped the storm. He could have, but instead he's all like, throw me overboard. Kill me now. Chuck me in the ocean.
Yeah.
Send me in there.
Like he was ready to die.
Right? So now he's like, he's in there and he's thinking, all right, here we go. This is it. Finally, I'm going to drown. And then he gets swallowed up.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, even better. I'm going to get digested by a fish. And then that still doesn't happen. And he's like, okay, I'm in this fish. Digestion hasn't taken hold. I'm living and breathing and alive. Here I am. Now I'm praying to the Lord.
I'm gonna say this. Okay. I that I have a very fear of heights. Like,
okay.
I'm not like really like super, like you would never see me on the top of the skyscraper like looking down. No. Not gonna happen.
First time I met you, you wouldn't even get close to a ladder.
Wouldn't even. I mean, I'll go a few but my wife puts up the Christmas lights. If it's like up there, I can't do it. Right. So, but one of the things that we did a long time ago. So when Penny, my first, was born, we had her. She was a little baby, right? And we went to this underground cave system, right, where they put you in an elevator and then you go way down, and then you go through this little cave and there's a waterfall at the end of it. It's beautiful, okay, but I didn't realize I was claustrophobic until that moment, right? Like, so like I was all for it, I was like all for. Like, let's go to this cave. I'm ready for this thing. And then I'm like going through the cave. And then I'm like, whoa, what if there's an earthquake and this cave, like, collapses and we're down here and there's nothing to eat? And like, what and then like everything. And then it started getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And then you had to like squeeze through this point to get to the waterfall, right? Dude, nervous, like
now you're
crazy.
You're not a cave guy.
I'm not a cave guy.
All right.
I see Jonah this way. He was
God
all about,
finally got his attention.
He was all about, I'd just rather die than go to Nineveh.
Yep.
Right? And he's like, chuck me overboard. I'm off this train. And then he's in the ocean and he's like, oh, I don't want to die. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because in his prayers, he says, The gulfing waters threatened me, the deep surrounded me, seaweed was wrapped around my neck. To the roots of the mountains I sank down, the earth beneath barred me in forever. But you, Lord my God, brought me life up from the pit. Like, he was like ready to go to the cave system and explore until he got to the cave system.
Yeah.
Like, he was ready to just be chucked overboard until he was chucked overboard. Right?
Yep.
And then he's drowning.
Yep.
Right? What seems like a long time, and God sends this fish not as a punishment. Right? I think that's what's interesting to me about it, because at first you think maybe this fish is like more a punishment for not listening to the Lord, but in reality,
It's a salvation.
it's a salvation, right? And I think that's what's so interesting to me from it, because when I read this story as, a younger person or whatever, that's the first take I think that I lean towards, is that this fish is more punishment. 3 days, 3 nights, right? Like, why didn't, like that seems like a I wouldn't want to be inside of a belly for 3 days and 3 nights of any creature, right? Much less a fish.
But it was a transformative experience,
Yeah.
because in there, Jonah's prayer and praise for God's salvation, God's mercy, God's faithfulness to Jonah, even through all Jonah's running and turning his back and trying to evade God. God continued pursuing him.
Yes. And I think that's what took 3 days and 3 nights. So I'm with you. I think it took 3 days and 3 nights to get to this point, because he was probably sitting there contemplating, thinking about a situation, thinking about stuff, right? And formulating this kind of prayer, this kind of apology.
Understanding
Right.
that God's pursuing him
Yeah.
regardless of his obstinance.
Exactly. So I think it took 3 days and 3 nights to get to this point, right? This point where he, we've got a whole basic chapter of him praying to God, slash, kind of an apology, an understanding of what happened. I did this, and
A reinstitution of his faith.
Yeah.
And then boom. Chapter 2 ends with the Lord orders the fish to spit Jonah out onto the beach.
Yeah. And I think the end of his prayer is probably the most important, right? Where he says, those who cling to worthless idols turn away from God's love for them. But I, with shouts of grateful praise, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed, I will make good. Mm-hmm. I will say, salvation comes from the Lord. And at that moment, God commands the fish to spit him out, which is just like, right onto the dry land. And what's interesting is, this is one of these times where, so I have a really bad interpretation of.
Hey, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, we're here for a layman bad interpretation.
Yeah, we're in the nest.
Old Testament and New Testament. I look at the Old Testament as more of the vengeful, wrathful God, right? There's love and stuff in there too, but you really talk about, this repeated cycle of the Israelites following God, then not following God, then God punishes them, and then they follow God, and then not punish. You know what I mean? And this back and forth. So there's a lot of this kind of like revengeful, actions by God, right? So you can kind of classify. To me, my brain says Old Testament is, much more like angry God, right? Than New Testament, which is more about, Jesus talking about the love of God. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think where you're going with it is kind of like, kind of like we always reference back, like parenting and leading children and growing in faith. But like with like parenting, you the younger they are, you have to offer a harder corrective action out of perseverance for their safety, and like there's much more. They don't need to understand everything. It's very much we offer these more direct corrective.
Right. They don't get the stove is hot when they try to put their hand on it.
Yeah.
So as a little one, you're grabbing that hand away
Exactly.
and saying, no hot, no hot.
Yep.
Right. But a 20-something-year-old is wanting to touch the burner. You're kind of like, you know it's hot.
Yeah, and you can kind of get into the processes of thermodynamics and stuff, right? Like
Right.
You know, and
you can kind of reason with them a little bit.
Yeah, and but at that point, it still pains you if they get burned.
Sure. Yeah.
But you've corrected, you've
right.
trained, you've taught, you've educated, you've coached, and now you're in that coaching relationship stage later on, and I think that's where you're getting into the later scriptures of this coaching stage.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but this is an interesting to me because it is specifically Jonah is perceiving this whole series of events as not as a punishment, but really as God's love for him, and that's why he's going through these things, right? Which I find interesting.
And boom, guess what he's going to do then?
I don't know. Get on another boat? Probably not.
Probably has
not
to.
for a while. No, he got on dry land.
I
never
know.
Maybe he spit them all the way to Nineveh.
That's true. I don't know where the beach is,
I don't know.
but he
got spit out.
And here comes the voice of the Lord again. Get up and go to the great city of Nineveh and deliver the message I have given to you. That is
Chapter 3?
the same, chapter 3, but the same opening sentence God used before, which I was like I think's great, right?
Yeah, it's like, let's try this again.
I'm not going to change my verbiage, right?
Yeah.
Like, get
In case
up,
you forgot.
get up.
In case you originally forgot what I wanted you to do.
We're going to open with get up and go to the great city of Nineveh.
Yeah. And he's got this specific message that God wants the people of Nineveh to hear. Right. Okay.
Yep.
So he this time he decides
Denounce their wickedness.
he's like, okay, I guess I'm going to do it this time.
And Nineveh is huge.
And I would say that if I was Jonah at this point, I'd be like, do I want to get on a boat, go through some storms, get tossed in the sea, drown to death, get eaten by a fish, maybe a second time? Or would I rather just go to this city where they don't like me? I'd probably just rather go to this city where they don't like me. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Worse? How can it get any worse?
How can it get any
Right?
How can it get any worse than that?
Yeah.
Right, let's just go to this
Yeah.
city. Like, it can't get any worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to expect, like, I think he now fully expects God's deliverance in the situation. He's taking
Well, it's kind of a protection.
He's taking
right?
a divine recognition of how things can happen.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of his just strictly worldly view of Nineveh, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
To like Nineveh, God's going with me.
Yeah. He's got on the full armor of God now.
Ooh, here comes another podcast.
You know what I'm saying? So, so he goes to Nineveh, very large city.
Once again, it takes 3 days
3
to walk
days.
across it. Pretty big.
So pretty big. So Parker. Shh. So pretty big city. 3 days. Go through it, and so he's talking to the people, and he's basically telling them 40 more days, and Nineveh will be overthrown.
Be destroyed.
Be destroyed, right? So he's telling everybody, he's like, look, 40 days from now, God's going to come in here and wipe this thing off the face of the earth.
He rolls up in there and is like, look.
Now, what would happen? Because they said at some point Nineveh was 120,000 people.
Yep.
Okay. So 120,000 people. What's Kansas City proper? Like, what's like the downtown area? Isn't it about 100 and some odd thousand? Or is it 1 million?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
our larger, greater Kansas City metro area, like all
Oh,
the
no, I'm
stuff.
not talking
I
about
know.
metro.
I'm saying like all the stuff's like 3 million.
Okay.
But like,
It's like, what's Liberty?
so like,
Because Kearney's about 12,000.
yeah, I'm thinking of a town that's not as bumped up against other towns, like our St. Joseph friends. I think that's like 80,000 or something. 70,
Okay.
75
All right,
to
so it's
80.
like St. Joe.
You know, a little bigger than that. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of other towns that are, you know, like maybe Columbia is like that. Maybe Columbia is.
Yeah, like the just the city of.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so we've got it's a pretty large city, 120,000.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it takes them 3 days to walk.
They
to walk
definitely
through it.
definitely had a Walmart.
At least one.
Yeah, probably two.
They probably had
They had
two.
one on each side.
Or a hyper Walmart. You remember those? Like the really giant
maybe they had a
ones?
Sam's Club.
Oh, you know what? Probably. I would definitely think they'd have a Sam's Club. Although they do kind of spread them out a little bit. But either a Sam's Club or
right.
a Costco.
All right, Nineveh has a Sam's Club and a Costco.
Yeah. Wow. So big city. So imagine this. Imagine being in this big city, right? Imagine being in St. Joe, living in St. Joe,
Been there, done that.
doing your stuff, and this dude rolls in and he's like, "Yo, y'all got 40 days before St. Joe's wiped out by God."
It's happening, and y'all know you're wicked, and it's happening.
And they don't follow the same God, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's not like everybody's following the same God, and they're like, "Oh, you made Poseidon mad."
Yeah, and
right?
it's like 40 days from now, Nineveh will be destroyed. And like that's the quote we have. That's in my version. Like that's the quote I have. Like I don't know if Jonah provides a whole bunch of other context.
Mm-hmm. Parker Ray, please stop.
40 days from now, Nineveh will be destroyed. So that's the quote I have.
Yeah.
I don't know if, you know, we can only speculate on the layers of this story, whether Jonah offers other context, whether he rolls up in there and be like, you know, tells his story, right? Like, I don't know what
I would assume.
like what he does to convince everybody.
Yeah.
Or whether it's so powerful that he's just like, 40 days from now, Nineveh will be destroyed. Or if he was like, hey, man, God told me to come here and tell you I didn't want to do this, and I'm still here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be telling you about this.
But dude, I just got spat out by a giant fish.
Yeah. And you
need to listen.
You got to listen to me. Like did he use his...
Maybe he still had fish
yeah.
like smell to him and stuff.
He had to have.
You know what I mean? Like this like
you take one of those things off a hook and you can't get the slime off your hand.
Yeah. So he's got all this fish slime on him probably.
Oh, for sure.
Smells like a big fish. He's talking about being eaten by a fish. And they're like, yeah, this makes sense.
I would think. But that's full speculation because all I have is a quote. But I do know the people of Nineveh, believing God's message, and from the greatest to the least, they declared a fast and put on burlap to show their sorrow. So they immediately repent and take corrective action to try to clean up their act. And the king of Nineveh, here's what's going on. He stepped down from his throne, took off his royal robes. He dressed himself in burlap and sat on a heap of ashes. Then the king and his nobles sent this decree throughout the city. No one, not even the animals from your herds and flocks, may eat or drink anything at all. People and animals alike must wear garments of mourning, and everyone must pray earnestly to God. That's uppercase God. That is
G.
Jonah's God. That is the sovereign Lord of the Israelites. They must turn from their evil ways and stop all their violence. Who can tell? Perhaps even yet, God will change his mind and hold back his fierce anger from destroying us.
This is like a Hail Mary.
Like everybody.
This is a 40-day Hail Mary.
Yes. Like that's funny to use it's ironic to use a prayer reference that got turned into a football play that's got baked into...
This is the best part of the podcast.
That got baked into idioms that you're going to return back around.
Yep.
And
it's pretty good, wasn't it?
Wow.
It's pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like a Hail Mary.
There it is.
It's a Hail Mary and a Hail Mary.
And he's looking for a touchdown.
He's looking for a TD, right? So,
well, When God saw that they had put down and stopped their evil ways, he changed his mind and did not carry out the destruction that he threatened.
Yeah.
Boom. All right.
Yeah. So Jonah did it.
Hero
Jonah
of
did
the
it.
day. Saved 120,000 people.
And a city destruction.
Yeah.
Oh, you think of all the animals would have been lost.
All of it. Total
Everything.
annihilation. Total annihilation. Apocalyptic
Stuff.
fashion right there. City of Nineveh.
He went. He did his job.
Did it.
Told him what God wanted him to tell him. Like, God was so happy.
Proud of him.
Oh, man, look. You did so well. I'm going to spare the city.
Yep. And now my favorite part of the story. I love it. Jonah is mad about it.
He's mad.
Hacked off.
He's mad. I mean, all right, look at it from this perspective, right? If I was like, Mitch, bro, I need you to go stand up on stage and tell the whole church that we're not going to have hospitality anymore on Sunday. We're not going to have coffee. We're not going to have snacks. You need to bring your own. And, everybody was kind of like, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't know it was a big deal. I'll change my mind. Like me, I was like, oh, I'll change my mind. Maybe we should have hospitality. And then you're like, I just told everybody that we were going to get rid of hospitality, and now you changed your mind?
Oh, so you think Jonah's mad because he didn't get the full plan, God's full plan. He wasn't privy to the or else.
Right.
He just thought it was a boom.
He thought it was you're going to get destroyed.
He thought it was an absolute.
So he in a way, Jonah feels like he was a liar. He's going around telling everybody it's going to be destroyed, and then it's not destroyed.
So Jonah's all like, man, when mom gets home, you guys are toast.
Right.
You're so grounded.
Yeah.
You have no idea. You can't even.
I'm taking pictures of it. I'm going to show her what's going on.
You cannot glue the lamp back together fast enough.
Yeah.
There's not enough time to glue the lamp.
And then mom comes home
together.
And sees all the kids, cleaned up the house. Everything's looking good. They're behaving. They own up to their problem.
And mom's like, man, I love you kids way more than that lamp.
It was actually given to me by Aunt Mary, and I really disliked it.
Yeah.
So thanks for breaking it. We can finally get rid of it.
It was an ugly lamp anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
And then you're like, what are you doing? You're supposed to punish them.
No. Yeah. That's
exactly his mentality.
Oh, man.
Right? He's mad. He was ready to see meteors come out of the sky.
Yeah. So he actually was all self-righteous, rolling up into Nineveh.
Y'all are doing this wrong. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what to do.
Yeah, because I'm Jonah and I listen to God.
And I listen to God.
Yeah.
I got spit out by a fish.
Yeah,
even.
I listen to God all the time.
God protects me.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Uh-huh.
So then he's mad. So it starts with, but to Jonah, this seemed very wrong, and he became angry.
Oh, he's mad.
So he prays to God. He says, "Isn't this?"
Hey, hold on. I love what my version says.
Oh, okay, good.
So he complained to the Lord.
Complained.
All right, now go with your translation.
Isn't this what I said, Lord, when I was still at home? This is what I tried to forestall by fleeing to Tarshish, which I guess is what his destination was. I knew that you are a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and abounding in love, a God who relents from sending calamity. Now, Lord, take away my life, for it is better for me to die than to live.
I love it. And all right, so I love. I'm going to read my version too.
Yeah.
All right, he says, didn't I say this before I left home that you would do this, Lord? I knew it. This is why I ran away to Tarshish. I knew that you're merciful, compassionate, slow to anger, filled with unfailing love. You're eager to turn back from destroying people. And this, here it is, chapter 4, verse 3. This is one of those Bible verses to remember. Just kill me now, Lord.
Is that all you said?
That's what he says. And then he says, I'd rather be dead than alive if what I predicted will not happen. All right? There's a cross-stitch one for you. I'm going to add that to Pastor Adam's list of things to cross-stitch is Jonah chapter 4, verse 3. Just kill me now, Lord. I'd rather be dead than alive. if what I predicted will not happen. The Lord replied, "This is right for you to be angry about this."
Well, so we're at a critical moment where we ran out of the sands of time,
We did. But,
but we still have more content.
hold on. Overtime.
Are we gonna go overtime a little
Which
bit?
one?
Or we're gonna do? We'll do. Yeah, I think that one's a
Extended
shorter
version.
One. Extended version. Okay. So
let's wrap up. Let's go with this extended podcast.
So we'll go. We'll just summarize the rest of it, right? So he's mad. God, I know I'm going to summarize it. You can pick out some verses if you want to read them, but I'm going to summarize. So basically, he gets mad, and he tells God, "Hey, kill me now!" Right?
Yep.
This is like the second time this dude's wanting to die, too. Right? You know what I mean? Like he's like, "Chuck me overboard." He's like, "Just strike me down now." Like what's this dude's problem?
Like all the they'll talk about like evil Knievel, like they'll refer that like. People have a death wish.
Yeah.
And I think like Jonah actually does. Like he wishes it a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, it
So he goes out to the east side of the city. I don't know what your translation
east side, at a place east of the city, and he makes himself a little shelter, sat in its shade, and waited to see what would happen to the city. So he's basically like egging God on to do something.
Yeah, he's waiting for Dad to come home.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do, Dad. I'm going to go sit over there.
Yeah.
And you either destroy this city or you destroy me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's what he's doing,
Yeah.
right? He's all huffy.
Yep.
He's like marching out of the city. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to build a little shelter. I'm going to sit right here. I'm going to see what you're going to do, Dad.
So,
Okay?
And the Lord arranged for a leafy plant to grow there. And soon it spread its broad leaves over Jonah's head, shading him from the sun. This eased his discomfort, and Jonah was very grateful for
The plant.
the plant. This magical beanstalk sprouts up out of nowhere. I could just see him sitting on this just rock, and bloop, here comes this plant.
Yeah. He's shade him.
Baking out there.
I mean, but
Bacon like
here's
a
the thing.
toasted
Do you
cheeser.
think that he knew the plant came from God?
I think the plant sprung up so miraculously.
You would have to think. You'd be like, you'd have to believe that.
Really dense, which maybe
he is.
Jonah is.
Right. So, I mean, that's kind of the point,
Okay.
right? Because he was happy about the plant.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
He was so.
But he doesn't thank God at this point, right?
So
Like he doesn't like, oh, thanks God for making this plant while I sit here and stew. Like he's still mad.
Yeah.
But he's like, well, at least I got shade
Yeah.
while I'm mad.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
All right.
it's like you're gonna run away from home, right? You're so mad. You're like 4 years old, and I'm so mad. I'm gonna run away, and your mom's like, "Here, let me pack you a sandwich." You're like, "Thanks, give me the sandwich," because she knows you're not gonna make it far.
Is that 4? I don't. I think you have more like 5 or 6.
What? When you run away?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you have thoughts of running away, I guess.
I'm out of here, man.
I'm out of here. I'm so mad.
Can I have a sandwich?
Can I have a sandwich? Mom, it's really hot outside.
All right.
Can you sunscreen me too? I don't want to get sunburned.
Please use the SPF 50. I might be gone a long time.
So so got this nice leafy plant
But God also arranged for a worm.
that ate the plant so that it withered. So when the sun rose, God provided a scorching east wind, and the sun blazed on Jonah's head so that he grew faint. So this is what I love. This goes back to the vengeful, wrathful God, right? Like, you want to see what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a really nice day. Here's this plant that'll shade you and make you feel really good. Oh, you're happy about the plant. Great. Now I'm going to give you this worm that's going to eat the plant, and then I'm going to make it really stupidly hot.
Yep.
So,
So, hold on. The sun beat down on his head until he grew faint and wished. What he wished for?
to die.
Wished to die.
Again, wishing to die.
But he has a quote to go with it. "Death is certainly better than living like this," he exclaimed.
Is that a cross stitch? A Hall of Fame. You get your grandma to cross stitch
A
that.
Hall of Fame cross stitch. "Death
there.
is certainly better than living like this." Jonah.
But God said to Jonah, "Is it right for you to be angry about the plant? It is, Jonah said. I'm so angry, I wish I were dead.
Again.
Like, he's just, like, wanting to die. Like, he's got a death wish.
He's so angry.
He's so mad. But the Lord said, you have been concerned about this plant, though you did not tend it or make it grow. It sprang up overnight and died overnight. As should I not have concern for the great city of Nineveh, which there are more than 120,000 people who cannot tell their right hand from the left, and also so many animals. That's what my version says.
Yep, mine says...
Go from 10.
But Nineveh has more than 120,000 people living in spiritual darkness.
Yeah.
Not to mention all those animals. So see,
Not to mention the animals.
Hey, but that's a good one for you there. Like that's another little tidbit takeaway. Like
Not to mention the animals.
I will concede to all you dog people out there.
No,
God loves your dogs.
stop.
He's right there. Not to mention, he even mentions them.
I think he was more worried about the sheep and the goats.
That's true. But shouldn't I feel sorry for such a great city?
Yeah. So basically, this is my interpretation.
Yep.
Okay, as a lay person.
Yo, of course. There's no other way for us to interpret it.
That he's basically pointing out to Jonah that he saw something and was grateful for it, this plant, but he didn't do anything to like make it grow or you keep it, or whatever. He just like experienced the plant and now the plant's dead and he's mad about it. Right. Okay. But what he's saying is you did the same thing with the city. You went in, you experienced it, but you did nothing to help it grow. You did nothing to help build it. You didn't help, you know what I mean? So why do you want to get rid of it when you have no authority over it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I think that's a really great example, and I could be completely wrong, or I'm completely right, and this is great. I think that's a great kind of example of, and I'm trying to think of a time, but I know it happens when you get mad about something that's totally not in your control.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you're
the weather,
or, like whatever, right? You just get so amped up about it, but it's not under your control. You have nothing to do with it. So why are you so mad about it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what he's trying to say is like, look, bro, I sent you here just to deliver my message. You got nothing to do with it. You don't have a dog in this fight.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you just delivered the message. Thank you for doing that. And you can go home now.
Yeah.
Let me deal with this city.
Job well done.
Yeah.
Well, see you later.
See you later.
And what we don't know, this has been my favorite. I've really enjoyed this. And God ends it with a question. Shouldn't I feel sorry for such a great city?
And the animals.
Yeah. And Jonah's just sitting there, arms crossed.
Pouting.
Just frowny face, right? Just frowny face. And we don't know. We know is the city's not destroyed.
Yeah.
Those people are saved.
Mm-hmm.
They've repented. They've turned away. Nineveh might be just the best city ever after this.
Yeah, just need a little jump start.
Yeah. And maybe Jonah finally finishes pouting, goes down there and gets a sweet gig for the king. Like,
yeah,
just
I don't know.
Part of a.
I mean, he's a prophet at this point,
yeah,
right?
He's a consult, right?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But we don't know.
I wonder how many times in the future after this he wished for death.
I want to get a tally.
Yeah, I find it amazing. Now, so we're running out of the extended version.
Yep.
So if you had to pick, and it's hard because there's a lot of different messages in here, but if you had to pick the main message from Jonah, like the main
Here's the
point.
Here's your hot
takeaway.
takeaway from Mitch after going through Jonah in a 2-part podcast series.
Mm.
You're not in control. God is.
Yeah. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, I would. Yeah,
That's my hot take.
I would.
You're not in control. You're not in control. You're not. Nope.
Yeah, there's
Nope.
nothing. There's
Nope,
nothing that
not
you
control.
can control. Yeah,
You're not in control.
big fish, raging seas,
Nineveh-
destruction of a giant city.
Ninevites,
Yeah.
worms.
Yeah, I would kind of say that's a good one. I would also say, kind of to that same point, is that God's plan. You have no clue what God's plan is leading to, and so instead of questioning or being angry about God's plan when it doesn't go the way that you want it to go,
Do the part you're asked to do.
do the part that you're asked to do, because be a part of God's plan. Don't be against God's plan, and don't be angry at it.
Boom.
That's it.
That's it.
Estos todos.
Thanks, guys.
Later.